Hi YouTube. Hi YouTube. Hey, welcome to the channel. If you guys are watching this, we are about to dive into the extra chapter of Mushoku Tensei, Distorted but Unchanged, as we sit down, pause, and analyze as we walk through it. Hey, this is just a friendly thing thrown out there because we are going to be stopping a lot. We are going to be talking a lot. And we are, like, you know, it might be helpful to go ahead and put the, if you're watching on YouTube, to put it at 1.5 to 2 volt, like 2 speed. This might help you guys out in case this is like a 2-hour long video. So I just want to go ahead and let you guys know that I'm throwing it out there because a lot of this like stuff that we analyze tends to go a little overboard. So just a heads up, guys. Yes, you know, we will be talking about it. We will literally be breaking this down as we go through. The way that I'm looking at this is through a psychologist lens because I am a psychologist. And that's honestly the best way to go ahead and like sit down and look at it. Don't take this as like, oh, he's making predictions about the future. I'm looking at the character as to what I know about the character through the anime, and we're breaking it down. If that's all cool, hey, leave a comment down below, hit the like button, tell me what you guys think. We'll be asking questions, we'll be stopping by. Let's just jump straight into it. What do you guys think? All right, guys. Extra chapter. Distorted but Unchanged. I'm really curious as to where this is going to go. There were vast expanses of water-filled paddies in the Sanakia kingdom. A carriage rolled slowly along a path, separating said paddies, protected by a number of knights. The knights walked along with relaxed looks on their faces, and the carriage didn't look expensive, so it was safe to assume no one important was riding inside. And in fact, the only people in the carriage were 3 women. One was a knight of the Shirone Kingdom named Ginger York. She sat near the door listening to the conversation of the other 2. Alright, hold on. We got to break this down already. So, have you heard of the kingdom before? Chat? Oh, that's a really bad color to go ahead and pick. No. Yeah, because I was about to say, I don't remember hearing about this kingdom. So my thing is, it's interesting because for me this is all world building. This is beautiful world building right here. The reason why I'm pointing this out is simply the kingdom is named in the light novel, but not in the anime. The reason why I'm saying this is because for me this is already giving me a sociological point of view as to the way that outsiders or personnel on the outside would look at this. Let me go ahead and bring this up. I love using my little wheel. The way that we form schemas, or the way that we like quickly make influences to a lot of like the stigmas and schemas and stereotypes that we have out there is because of our sociological imagination, right? So, for example, having it like what influences you as an individual, right? What influences our perspective is quite literally, if you look at this, it's the way that outside influences in. So this is why I'm like looking at this. It's clear to be said, like, hey, if you have knights, if you have bodyguards, they're clearly going to be able to go and protect something. But if they're too relaxed, you know, you're not an important personnel or that important of a personnel. For me, this is gold. This is gold building, world building, because it's already giving us who, like, you know, who we're looking at. Ginger York. And also the importance of, like, what's being guarded here. This is awesome, dude. We're just getting started. Big Brother Kennel Master really was dreamy. The one speaking so enthusiastically was the young girl in Baggy's maid clothing, Aisha. As soon as I saw this, dude, I hadn't even read ahead. I was like, oh, okay. If I'm ever going to get married, it definitely has to be someone like that, right, mother? I'm scared. I'm scared for Aisha because on the anime what we got to see was like a strong parataxic distortion being formed. Guys, if you guys don't know, parataxic distortion is when you put someone on a pedestal, right? And yes, you can act all tsundere and stuff, but you're like looking for elements in them. And also the way that like she viewed herself in that scenario, it's like I'm kind of scared for how she's going to become as an adult and what that's going to carry through. Anyways, yes, of course, sitting opposite was a woman identical to Aisha, but older and wearing glasses. Her name was Lilia. Anyone who looked past the frames would see the cool glint in her eyes, giving off a distant, frosty impression, and yet her gaze was currently shifting around. He was totally amazing when he saved me, you know. He pointed his finger at the ground like this, and swish, then a hole opened up, and then after that, we went whooshing through the air. I wonder if that was magic too. It's amazing he can cast all that without chanting anything. Almost like magic in fairy tales. Oh. Oh, yes, indeed. It's incredible being... I'm going to stop after this. Yes, indeed. It's incredible being able to cast like that without incantations. Aisha had been singing praises of Big Brother, Kennel Master, for a while now. Lilia was a bit perplexed. She'd been sure at first that Aisha had realized that Kennel Master was actually her older brother Rudius, but it was starting to look like she was just using Big Brother as a term of endearment for an older male figure. I'm going to highlight this and we're going to come back and actually talk about it. Besides, that was a first for me. I was so scared I wet myself, and yet I wasn't embarrassed because he was the one with me. I don't mind that he helped me get changed. Could this maybe be love? Aisha put her hands together as if in a prayers, her eyes alight. No, Aisha, no. Aisha, no. Aisha, no. Seeing her daughter like that, Lilia hesitated. Should she tell her that Kennel Master was actually Rudius? Just the other day, Aisha had hated him. Granted, Lilia's approach hadn't been the best. She'd always gone on about how amazing and wonderful Rudius was, wanting Aisha to serve him someday. But Aisha was exceptionally smart herself, and she'd seen right through her mother's exaggerated claims that her brother was perfect beyond reproach. She'd sniff out the flaws Lilia was covering up and honed in on them. So for me, this is sounding as though Aisha is really observant, right? Is for her age and the way that she was portrayed in the anime, we're just going to take this into consideration by itself though. It sounds as though she's really important and probably above her years, right? In terms of either emotional intelligence or also just overall intelligence, right? I.e. being able to go ahead and see right through the mother's claims and like, you know, that's huge. That's huge. Like, not everyone can go ahead and do that. But also, going through this, what's scaring me through this is, number one, the distortion that's already happening for her brother. Granted, don't get me wrong. You can admire, you can adore other people. But for me, it's like, if she turns into an adult with this type of thing, what isn't she willing to do for Rudius? Right? She's the type of individual that'd be like... And if this is how she is with Rudius, how would she be with her sister? Or with other members of the family? So now I'm starting to wonder. Right now we have Aisha, who's exceptionally smart. Lilia's words herself. She's admiring Rudius. She's put Rudius in this pedestal because of how amazing he is, of everything that he's done. She's even questioning if this is like, if her Doki Doki is literally turning into a literature club, if it's beating fast and all of this stuff. How do you form attachments, right? And why do you form them? And for me, this is interesting because it's showing that, like, even throughout all of that, even throughout her smartness and whatnot, she was able to go ahead and open up and be vulnerable to Rudius. And I think this is, yeah, Waku Waku. For me, this is key. So we're gonna go through it. As I said, we're literally gonna stop and go back as soon as we can. People tend to assign great importance to the things they discovered for themselves, rather than what they heard from other people. Oh, malware bites, get out of here. A year from now, Aisha would realize that what she'd been told was just credible information she discovered for herself, but she was still too young for that. She thought that her mother was full of lies and Rudius was actually a good-for-nothing human being. Lilia acknowledged she was partly to blame for that. She could have found better ways to tell Aisha about Rudius, ones that didn't include going on about him as if he were an object of worship. No! No! Okay. But it didn't matter if she admitted her mistakes now. Aisha had made up her mind about Rudius. At some point in their stay in the Sharona Kingdom, Lilia had given up on her changing her daughter's mind. However, by some twist of fate, Aisha was now lavishing praise on her brother, the Kennel Master. Lilia paused to think if she were to reveal Aisha's beloved Kennel Master was actually Rudius, Would Aisha's hatred of her brother disappear? Would she be willing to serve just as Lilia wished? I keep doing this, and it's not supposed to be the text that changes, just highlighted. Then again, Aisha hated lies and deceit. Rudius had hidden his true identity from her the entire time. Lilia had no idea why he'd done it, but Aisha was a clever girl who saw right through the adult's attempts to gloss things over. Revealing that the Kennel Master was really Rudius this late in the game might only make her hate him more. See, he is underhanded, she might say, or I knew it, my brother is a pervert. I mean, or he wanted to wash my panties so bad he lied to me. Lilia would rather avoid that. Lilia seems to set on making Aisha... Oh, we're about to get to that. We're about to get to that. Would rather avoid that. After this paragraph, we're going back, because there's a lot we got to go and talk about. Hey, mother, if my brother's actually dead, I'd like to serve the Kennel Master instead. Normally, at this point, Lilia would smack Aisha on the head and chide her not to say such ominous thing. This time, she could not, but offer a bitter smile as a cold sweat beaded on her face. Oh, let's talk about this. This is a lot. Let's talk about it before we continue. This particular part made me like put everything together. How do you guys feel when a mom puts expectations on you? How do you feel about expectations in general? You as an individual, you as a YouTube watcher that are watching this right now. How do you feel about the expectations that are placed on you by your parents or by others, especially when it comes to scenarios like this? Because one thing that comes into play for me are the roles that are being given, right? It's a lot of pressure to perform. Not just that. What does it mean to literally be, like, for example, Naked Neko, I want you to serve Eldris. That is my wish. But what about your own wish, Naked Neko? What about your own desires to succeed, to find love, to do what you want to do? No, I just want Naked Neko to serve Eldris. That is my wish. It is putting a big damper on a person from being able to go ahead and, like, you know, proceed into certain aspects. This is not a bad aspect, by the way. A lot of parents do this. I think almost everyone does at some point in time, right? Which is where expectations are placed on you, whether to get good grades or pass high school or so on and so forth, right? There's a lot of how do you put it? Like unspoken expectations, right? Not communicated expectations that are thrown out there. But through this comes a difference. What is a realistic expectation and what is an unrealistic expectation? And also, what does it mean to have these unrealistic expectations? And does that change the way that you approach, right? So for me, this is something I'm wondering about Lilia, right? Because she clearly has information that like should be able to be discussed. And I'll ask this to YouTube as well as to chat here. If Aisha was your child, right? Would you guys tell Aisha immediately? Would you guys tell Aisha about Rudius? If you didn't have these expectations? Does having these expectations of her change the way that you release information? And if so, why? Right? But what about the reverse? What if you're... Masha Tank, then we can go into concept of neglect, right? Because some expectations are healthy, right? Having some expectations on you is okay, right? Like the expectations to do better than what your parents have. That's a common one. Or to find your passion or something like that. But the unrealistic expectations are a little bit... There are siblings, so yes, I would tell her about it. Okay, so how would you feel, chat, YouTube, if all of a sudden, say that you started idolizing a sibling without knowing them, right? You hated your actual sibling, but you like, you know, same scenario that Aisha was in. And I'm your mom, right? I'm Mommy Ed. But I'm not giving you the full story. And then later on, you come to find out about it. Or you piece it together. Knowing Aisha, knowing her emotional intelligence that she is, they're like praising her for. I know, Mommy Ed, Daddy Ed, you know. Why is no expectations considered? Naked Neko, there's a difference between having healthy expectations and having no expectations, right? Because with no expectations, Like, it's okay to have no expectations and be like, you know, or expectations and like, hey, I don't really expect you to, like, you know, be the best of the best or whatever, but I'm going to go ahead and help guide you in your hobbies. I want you to go ahead and be successful or find a hobby that you enjoy. That's usually like healthy expectations. But not being involved in your life at all, not having like the expectations of being a present parent, that's also like pretty bad, you know? So there's a difference, right? No expectations can also be unhealthy, right? So it just depends on who you are as an individual and what communication styles you have. And that's why I bring it up, right? Because, for example, and I'll bring up a research article about this, which is a high amount of expectations equals a lot of pressure. No expectations, you might feel lost. Some expectations, healthy expectations with communication about it, right? Like, i.e. not having unrealistic expectations or not just being like, figure that shit out. Don't come to me for help. Nothing of that, right? Can be quite lonely. So it just depends on the way that they're approached and the way that they talk about you. I would feel more betrayed if Mommy Ed didn't tell me I had a secret sibling. So this is why I bring it up. I feel like Aisha would at first, like the way that this is but about my character. Yeah, and that's an expectation to have. That's a healthy expectation. So the reason why I'm getting at this, right, is when it comes to situations like this, I feel like Aisha can figure this out, but at the same time, you can have two thoughts at once, right? People seem to think like you can't have two opposing thoughts at once, but you can. You can love someone, right? Someone's characters, someone's abilities, their traits, what they do as an individual. I can love Rudius for who he's becoming, but hate who he was. I can love Paul for the attention that he's putting to like all of his kids and like the love of his, like, you know, for his family and trying to be a better father and a better character. But I can hate the fact that, you know, he hits his kids or he hit Rudy, you know. You don't have to love everything about a person to also dislike aspects of that character, you know. And that goes to the same towards everyone, even your own partners, right? Or your own friends. You love some aspects of them, but you also don't necessarily like some other aspects of them. You know, they might be phenomenal friends that are there for you emotionally and being able to go to bed for you. But at the same time, they might be into gossiping a lot. And maybe some of your secrets have like leaked that way. You can have two separate thoughts at once and still be true to that like main aspect. For example, for Aisha, it might be, I love when Rudius does this, but I hate the fact that he's a pervert, but I still love him as my brother, right? Sounds good, Rudo. Sounds good. Paul did nothing wrong, true. I've always heard from my parents it's a way more unhealthy to love everything about someone, not to have things you dislike. Yes, and that's why I'm saying it's okay to have things you dislike about someone, while at the same time love things about them as well. With this, right, I'm wondering, imagine being told exaggerated claims. Yeah. Imagine being told exaggerated claims. Man, you guys don't know, but Papi Ed, Psy Ed the wizard, man, he can just fucking, he looks at an anime for 1 second and like he goes into the writer's room and he's in there and he's like travels back in time and he's able to go and predict everything. And like, you know, wow, he gets everything right. Stupid shit like that. People are going to start coming up with these wild expectations, these wild like parataxic distortions, if you so will, of like, oh man, you can't fuck with them. You can't do you can't do that, you know. He's gonna be able to go and read everything, or it's gonna be all powerful and you don't want to go in there, when in fact it's like, yo, it's supposed to be like, it's just a cool dude who does psychology and that's pretty much it, right? Or a dude that does psychology, whatever. Those wild claims often shift the way that we attach to others, right? And often even give a power dynamic. And yes, I'm gonna bring that up right now. Hold on. We're going to bring this up. Man, that brings up a power dynamic. Guys, this is the wheel of control, violence, power and control, so on and so forth. When a wizard that travels through time and space, champ. And to anyone out there that recommends the channel, I appreciate you. So, for example, right, if we're going through a situation like this, a power you know, and this only goes through individual, but through a sociological lens. By the way, if you guys are viewing this and you see any of this through any of your friendships or relationships, get some help. This is me being straight up, not just as a psychologist, but as a random dude on the internet that really cares about each and every single one of you, even if I don't know you. If any of this is happening in any of your relationships, get help immediately, right? But why am I going through this, right? When it comes to situations like this, number one, right? What is going on in this case? I'm not saying that this is happening. I'm talking about sociologically, right? The use of stories, the way that we tell stories and the way that we elevate people is actually even a sense of power and control, right? Because we're using their status. In this case, it wouldn't be male privilege. I need to pull it up for the sociological lens, where it's quite literally, we tell our stories, the way we narrate our stories is a way of elevating individuals into positions of power. The words we use to communicate with kids, with others about certain individuals, influencers, YouTubers, TikTokers, Twitch streamers, everyone, right? The way that we tell the stories about them, it's the way that we put people in weird positions of power. It could either be by intimidation, coercion, and threats, you know, abuse, right? Emotional, physical, or expectational abuse, right? Isolation. You can't have any friends. You have Eidolon. You can't have any friends, mate. You gotta serve Eldris. You just gotta serve Eldris. Masters, you can't have any friends, man. I'm sorry. I see you with the friends, and I just can't, man. You gotta serve Eldris. You can't. Eldris is the god king of Gundam, and you're just not realizing it. Sign, dude. I'm sorry. You can't have any friends either, dude. I'm jealous. Like, I'm really jealous that you're hanging out with your friends. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that, hey, you have to remember, you have to be a maid to our good Lord and Savior Rudy. I watch your Moshko and Chainsaw Man's Cisco Pancho. Yo, Panch, ¿cómo estás? How you doing? I tend to start around 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And right now we're currently doing the Moshko Tensei novel. Why is Eldris always a man? Honestly, because he popped up first. But also, how you doing, Cisco Pancho? Appreciate you watching the Moshko Tensei and Chainsaw Man videos. Rudy follows the Church of Roxy. Lilia follows the Church of Rudy. My thing is, I feel like Lilia has been put in a position like this, right? Oh no, I'm gonna get spoiled. No, bro, no, we're doing the special chapter. You're gonna be fine, Cisco. Lilia has been put in a position where she was abused, right? Let's be realistic. In the anime, we've seen that they were, you know, using intimidation tactics. They literally, if we're gonna talk about that guy that had Lilia, what was he doing, bro? What was he doing? Like the little kid that was after Roxy, using all of this, dude, using children to make him feel guilty, you know, harassing, threatening to take children away. The prince guy, yeah, economic abuse, emotional abuse, intimidation. You throw in the prince guy in here, and you have a perfect example of, like, holy shit, dude, Pax, yeah. If so many shows predict, means the authors do quite a, yeah, and that means that they put a lot of themselves into the characters as well, champ. Using isolation, so on and so forth. So what does that do to a person, man? What is that, especially in case you guys have ever wondered about, like, domestic violence scenarios or scenarios like that in general? Dude, oftentimes for the kids, they'll do anything to try and protect the kids. They'll narrate, they'll create stories in order to keep some of the kids safe, even though the kids know what's going on from the environment they're in. Sometimes the kids are so smart, they know sort of what's happening. They can feel it. They, you know, even if it's happening away from them, they're like, they put context clues together. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. But, you know, mom or dad would tell stories of, like, oh no, don't worry about it. Let me tell you this grandiose, like, you know, narrative story about so on and so forth. And my mom did that when we were homeless. Yeah. And it's a defense mechanism because we always want, you know, especially when we're caught in a wheel like that, others to break from that wheel, to succeed from that wheel. And even so, sadly, sometimes we're stuck in that wheel of, like, fuck, literally, like, and I hate that this is probably going to get me unmonetized on YouTube, but it is what it is, because cursing apparently on YouTube gets you unmonetized. But it gets you in a situation where if you're so downbeaten and have learned helplessness, you might start a generational trauma cycle. emotions they all see as obvious. Oof. Oof. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue. Should she tell Aisha that Kennel Master was Rudius or not? If she played her cards right, Aisha would come to love her brother, but if she failed, Aisha would hate him even more. The latter was unacceptable, but Lilia wasn't confident she could persuade her far too clever daughter. What should she do? Tell her. Straight up, communicate. She's an individual. She is your kid, but she's an individual that needs to come up with her own decisions. Kids, the way that I treat kids, yeah. Demonetization is only for what happens in English. Pues chinga su madre, lo vamos a hablar en español entonces. Honestamente. Unable to come up with the answer, she was forced to listen to Aisha's rambling. Guys, with kids, with anyone, treat them with respect and treat them the way that you would, like anyone else. Kids are smart, dude. Kids can catch on pretty quickly. And also, ask them questions. What does this mean for you? You know? I do my best if I were to serve. Is she trying to get... Is Aisha doing a 500 IQ move here? Hold on. Is Aisha doing a Okay, so why did he choose to read this chapter in particular? Gunner Mark Maker. Chat chose it, actually. It wasn't me, mate. it was chat. So I'm wondering if this is I'm wondering if this is a 500 IQ move in order to get Lilia to admit to something or to even get a hint to something. Because the way that this is playing out is, yes, a sense of admiration, right? But it's also like, hey, mother, if my brother's actually dead, I'd like to serve Kennel Master 1. Hold on, where's it at? We're going back. We're going back. She has way more than 500 IQ. It might be, dude. It might be. I'm going back. Hold on. Also, welcome to the stream, man. Appreciate you being here. Hold on. Besides, this was the first for me. I was so scared that I went. Still talking about the Kennel Master. I hope I didn't get me changed. Could this be love? You know. She had always been praises of the Kennel Master for now 3. Thanks so much for the Oni-chan. He was totally amazing. He pointed his finger 4. Big Brother Kennel Master was really dreamy. 5. If I'm ever gonna get married, it's definitely gonna be to someone. 6. Okay, this is fucking phenomenal. Phenomenal. I think I missed one. I'm gonna assume it's 7. You guys in the novel can check it out. The reason why I'm saying this is fucking phenomenal. In psychology, in advertisement psychology, there's called the rule of 7s, right? And it's not even in advertisement psychology, it's just in psychology in general, i.e. even in counseling psychology. Whenever someone has something important, they want to go ahead and stay out there. Not necessarily. It can be implemented just like this, right? Where we're having a conversation, Skukong, we're in a car drive, or we're in a therapy session together. And I'm like, YouTube chat, you know, hey, YouTube, I've been having a really bad day lately, but this girl named Lilia was totally amazing. Time passes by. Man, Lilia was so cool, dude. She mentioned this. Time passes by. Dude, you would never believe, but Lilia looked like this, but passes by. Dude, Lilia... Ooh, has the biggest butt. Time passes by. Dude, Lilia, 7 times throughout interaction, 7 times even in like in a big setting like that. What am I imprinting? Even if like it doesn't have to be like over exaggerated like that. It can literally be just conversationally throughout, right? But in a conversation like that, it's either I'm trying to get reference points for you and imprint this individual in your mind and try and get your information, try and get you to open up. This is why in advertisement, no, what if it's only 6? 6 or 7, bro? If it's a high number like that, dude. If an individual is constantly opening up like that, it's either trying to fish for information or trying to like relay something, right? And in advertisements, oftentimes you'll see this out there, right? Which is like Coca-Cola or like advertisements being hit with seeing the brand image. Like for example, I'm gonna use this. M&M's. Oh wow, guys, You know, look at this G Fuel that's sitting back here, you know, throughout the entirety of the stream. Oh, wow, let's go ahead and like zoom into this as we're talking about it. Thanks so much for our sponsor, you know, G Fuel. And oh, wow, would you look at this? Let me take a sip. Oh man, I really like the raspberry flavor, you know, and so on and so forth. Like, as long as I'm talking about it or I'm mentioning it or it's in your periphery vision, even in the background or whatnot, more than 6 or 7 times, bro, you have something that's like fishing in that regard, you know. Old Spice order blocker has over 12 hours of order blocking power. You can tell they do their ad work right if you're the first ideal sponsor. Is that almost on Raid Shadow Legends level? True. Which for me, it's like, for example, Raid Shadow Legends, why was it so popular? And this goes out to you guys, because you got to see it fucking everywhere all the time and turned into a fucking meme virality, where it was being pushed down to the point where a lot of people even know the fucking, like the commercial by itself, right? Putting it in a situation like this, I think Aisha's fishing. And I think Aisha's incredibly smart. Just by the way, like, if I hadn't noticed this, if I hadn't taken the time to be like, wow, she said this quite a bit. Like, if I wasn't thinking this, I would have been like, wow, okay, Aisha has a thing for the Kennel Master. But now thinking back, I'm like, she might have a thing for the Kennel Master, but this might be a way to go ahead and get information without getting information. Without being overly obvious about this, dude. Actually, I was offered a sponsorship by them, you know. But I put it down because it was not the best of sponsor opportunities at the moment. But this is interesting. Okay, hold on. We'll get into it. Sorry, chat. Sorry. And I'll bring up some examples of this. Aisha. Wait, why? What happened? Also, where is Aisha? Is Aisha in here? This takes place... Cisco, yeah, does this take place after Rudy saves his sister and stepmom? I believe so, right? Anyway. I'd do my best if I were to serve the Kennel Master. Oh, did I already pass that? No. Kennel Master, but then one day when my guard's down and I'm getting changed and all defenseless, he'll come in and push me down, all hot and bothered, and make me his mistress. That will begin the beginning of a daily routine of obscene lovemaking. To me, it'll just be a physical relationship at first, but one day he'll propose to me saying, I want your heart as well, and she knows what she's doing. Oh, dude. Oh, she knows what she's doing, dude. No way. I can't. I think in an aspect, yeah, she knows about propinquity. This, because I hate to put. I know Rudy really cares about his siblings, you know. But I feel like Rudy is after the fucking, like, the starter Pokemon, if we're gonna be real. Rudy's after the starter Pokemon. I'm not sure if he'd... I think she'd test the boundaries like this with him at some point in time, like if they grew up to be older. But I think he's after, like, you know, the starter Pokemon. You know, we got Aries as Charizard. We got Roxy as Squirtle. I wonder if she's a Squirtle. And Sophie as, you know, Bulbasaur there. Aisha trying to be that Pokemon Yellow. ... Unbeknownst to Lilia, who was agonizing over her decision, Aisha was laughing to herself. She'd already seen right through everything. She knew that the Kennel Master was really her brother, and while he wasn't perfect, he was exceptional, as her mother had said. She was just using this opportunity to torment Lilia. Dude, what'd I say? Well, what'd I say, dude? Yeah, dude, this is totally an opportunity to just, like, fish and, you know, torment and get that information out, throw it out there. Dude, she's a fucking troll, dude. That's some big brain moves. That's I'm falling in love with Aisha, dude. I'm not even gonna lie, like, this character's amazing. The fucking troll, dude. I can't stop laughing at the part. Don't tell me he unlocks a nuke, dude. Early manipulator signs. No, it's Cool Kong. I think that this is like, because kids catch up to this, dude. Like, kids are like that. Like, they're able to go and catch on, and like, you'd be like, I think that this is just like a Mom, I'm just gonna keep pushing this. Mom, you're not gonna say anything? All right, Mom. Well, one day he's gonna come in, you know, Papi the wizard is gonna come in, and she's gonna be like, I'm a wizard, and like his shirt's gonna rip off magically, and you know, and you know, me as Ed, I'm gonna go into the, like, you know, go flying onto the bed as he restrains me with his like wizard powers, and like, Mom, like, you know, like Oh,
hey, yo!
all right, having a kid that knows how to manipulate you like that would be horrifying. Yes, but it also comes from the aspect of like kids adapt in scenarios like this because of lack of communication, right? Because they have to adapt to the environment. And this goes to everyone, guys. And for you guys that are like watching this on YouTube later on, in case you guys have ever wondered, why have I grown to be certain things? Pull up Brofenbrenner's ecological theory. Any good therapist, any good psychologist out there who's doing any sort of reaction or whatnot should be bringing this up every fucking opportunity they can. If they're talking in metaphors and looking in hindsight, I'm sorry, but that's garbage, because at the end of the day, when we're working with the client, we never get hindsight, man. We're always working at the moment with the client in the here and now, right? So when it comes to situations like this, in case you guys are ever wondering, like, dude, why did I grow to be like, learn some traits, right? Well, for example, in my environment that I lived in when I was a kid, it's a pretty dangerous environment. There was a lot of gunshots going around, and sometimes you had to learn how to talk, how to finagle out of situations, right? Because you never knew what people might be holding on or what people might be doing, right? What people might be holding. Our environment influences us as much as we influence our environment, right? So the way we talk, right? Which is why oftentimes I hate... I had to break this down. Sorry, this is going to be a little tangent. I've had to break this down to a lot of my psychologists, people that I supervise, people that I talk to, all of this stuff, right? There are people out there who will literally, you go into a session with them, right? Hold on. You go into a session with them and they have their book out, right? And they're writing down notes. And you're talking to them. And they're like, well, it seems to me like you might have a strong case of like paratemporal distortions mixed with like bipolar disorder, and you know, might have time to go ahead and get you on like, you know, Abilify. And you know, they just start talking in big terms, using like terms that we learn in psychology class. And this is a person that hasn't even graduated high school, that's in for therapy. How do you expect to link that, to make that meaningful for them to understand their diagnosis or where they're coming from? This is something that I've had to break the stigma of. It's like, do you talk like that at home? No. So then why do you talk like this at work? Why do you talk like this down to people? Match them where they're at. If I'm talking to you, right, and you're at the level where I can talk to you at a high level in psychology, where we're talking about like, you know, the, you know, mesosystem, exosystem, macrosystem of stuff, where we're talking about Kohlberg's dominance, like theory, moral theories. We're talking about every scenario out like that. Cool, you're at that level. But if you're at a system where you're like, hey, what's up, fool? What's up, SA? You know, I was walking around the barrio, man, and I found this dog out there. Bro, I'm going to be talking to you like that too. Dude, so what the fuck did you do? ¿Qué pasó? You know, like, what's going on? Dude, that's how I'd be fucking stressed out if I was in that scenario. I'm going to be talking to you at your level because that's exactly where it should be at, dude. You know? But anyway, I went to therapy when I was depressed in the middle school, and my therapist told me, you got nothing, pal. A therapist should never say that, dude. A therapist should never give, like, a therapist should never be like downplaying whatever your story is or what you're going through. But I still want there, so why I was depressed, some sort of explanation. I don't know. So then, have you ever figured that out or no? Because here's the thing. Mine said that's normal. Don't worry about it. No one should ever say that. I never say that. Like, no good therapist should ever say that. Dude, your experiences, if you're going through something at the moment, if you relate so much to Eartheus, because there's a lot to relate to in Eartheus, right? Oh, Cisco Punch, I appreciate it, man. Like, if you relate... Well, actually, Eidolon, I'd wonder if there's even more to it than just that, dude. And how about this, Eidolon? After this, if you're comfortable, we can break that down a little bit more. Gave me importance, most little stuff. I used to downplay everything myself, and she made me realize I'm important. And you should realize, you should feel like you're important. Guys, your story is your story. It is important. And I'm throwing this out there even through Rudius's perspective. Rudius's story is important. It's Rudius's story. As much as Paul's story is Paul's stories, right? We all go through life differently. And we all experience emotions and events. Even though we might have the same event might happen to both of us, we might both experience that event differently. And that's A-okay. Right? It's about the way that we feel while we're processing, why we feel that way, and what that did to us, right? No therapist should ever be like, oh, that's normal, don't worry about it. It should be like, oh, dude, so what happened? How did that make you feel? Let's break that down. Okay, what steps can we do to make you feel better? So on and so forth. Like, you guys are all important and your stories are important. And this is why I relate and I care so much about Mushoku Tensei and Rudeus' story as an anime. And it impacted me so fucking much. And I'm going to be a big promoter and I promote this out there. I've been promoting fucking Mushoku Tensei out there to some of my NEETs out there. Some of my hikis that I do counseling to. Because I say change is possible. Watch the anime. Read the novel, dude, if you can. You know, I haven't read the novel, but I've heard enough by praises by everyone out there while I'm reading the novel with you guys that change is possible. You know. And that's my number one thing is when you're looking at this, dude, what has influenced you and your like abilities to go ahead and process stuff? And why? For example, Aisha, back to it, picked up this ability to go ahead and like use this information because of what? What happened? A displacement incident, a displacement issue, right? You move to a new town, a new environment. You can't communicate with people. You're having issues making friends. Guess what? You might have an adjustment or a displacement issue at the moment. And that is a diagnosis. Switching, going into a new environment, going into a new place, having to adjust to that, right? Might need a new place, might be just suddenly shifted like that, whatever. That is enough for a displacement issue because now you have to learn how to adjust. Now you have to learn how to talk to people. Now you have to learn how to make friends. You have to learn what is socially acceptable and not what's not socially acceptable. What is, you know, so on and so forth. All of this, dude, is impacted by like, you know, by the, like, you know, Brofenbrenner's ecological system here. And now put yourself in the shoes. What skills would you pick up in an environment like this if you're just a kid and you've been shifted into a new environment like that? Hey, you don't know where dad is. You don't know where stepmom is. You don't know where your brother is. You just have your mom. And guess what? You're struggling. You're struggling to survive. What do? You pick up the skills to survive in the environment that you're in. And that is completely normal for everyone. Oh, sorry guys. That was a long one. You find the old Japanese man to teach you karate. I can teach you karate, Eidolon. I used to be unable to cry and all that, and when she gave me importance, she gave importance to it. I cried in the first session. It was basically when Subaru tells it in his return by death stuff, which is why ReZero is big for me. It feels personal. Yeah. I mean, even that sensation of like hitting your head against the wall over or running into the same issue over and over again and reliving moments in our past that we wish that we could go back and change, dude. Subaru is a relatable character as well. My old therapist was just telling me I have a sex addiction, but you can solve any addiction, man, or anything like that. There is stuff that's possible to do. Anyway, sorry guys, let me take a quick water break. YouTube, hey, hope you guys are enjoying the content so far. But for you guys yourself, are there any skills that you guys have related to in Aisha, Rudy, or yourself that like your ecology, your environment has caused for you? What a beautiful fucking chapter, man. What a beautiful chapter so far. Dude, you're right. Mushoku Tensei is easy to read. Before we continue, Mushoku Tensei at the moment, I don't know why, if I do it in Times New Roman and APA format, super easy to read, dude. Like, I'm liking this shit. Picasso, all right. In all honesty, Aisha didn't have the best relationship with her mother. Lilia had always been over-controlling, true, expectations, we already saw that, ordering her to do this or that ever since she was little. Refusing to give her an explanation even as she asked for one. And apparently, the strict training her mother put her through was also that someday serve her older brother. It was no wonder Aisha had grown sick of it until she saw her brother in person. She witnessed his ability to react intelligently to his environment by using voiceless magic to aid in their escape, as well as his courage in charging into the Shironen Royal Palace to rescue her mother, and his kindness after being peed on and helping her wash up and get changed with no signs of disgust. All of that was enough to make Aisha giddy and realize, so this is what people mean when they say dreamy. Dude, I'm pretty sure he was like... Right. We on the format, right? We on the MLA format. Yeah, at the moment we are. I relate to Aisha on the smarts and the difficulty to find people on my level for a while. Yeah? My thing with this is, I don't think he would even get upset if you peed on him, Aisha. It sounds bad, but like, let's be real. If Roxy peed on Rudy, dude, do you think he'd be mad, or would he be like, this is the goddess, the drink of the goddess? No. The holy water. The holy water. Shame. So I don't think he'd be mad. I think he'd, like, honestly, he's a caring brother. He's gonna treat that like the fountain of youth. Another blessing from Roxy. Her brother was exceptional, and if she wanted to keep up with him, she had to be exceptional too. Once she understood that, she was grateful for everything her mother had made her do. Oh, without all that training, she might balk at the idea of serving such an extraordinary older brother. Guys, this is awesome. How many of you, even when I'm an addict myself, I never found Rudy relatable, and I'm glad for that. Cisco. How many of you have been inspired by someone, right? Like, who have you been inspired by lately? Who have you learned from? YouTuber, influencer, author, whatever. Like, and what have you learned from them? Has it inspired you to be a better person, to take bigger steps, to become a better individual, to learn more, to, you know, improve yourself in some way, shape, or form, or to like think introvertedly about yourself, to make more friends? What does that do to you, dude? Does that make you want to step out and be like, dude, one day I want to fucking, like, you know, be an inspiration to others, or one day I want to go ahead and be a better person for myself? What does that make for you? And I can totally see this for Aisha, and I think that this is awesome. This is like, I literally have like my fucking goosebumps, dude, because for me this is showing that, like, the power of like a good role model and the impact it can have on us, dude. Actually, Masha, think it can. Of not trying to be like someone, it can even be inspiration like itself, you know? Not trying to be, for example, like if you have a person in your life that's like really, really bad, abusive, whatever, trying to not be like them, trying to be better than them, trying to be an example of what not to be, is an inspiration of itself, and you might inspire others to be better. My friends, Paul, power it up, you. Dude, I appreciate it. You're wonderful. Kendrick Lamar. Hey, dude, yes. Talking to a therapist is important. I relate a lot to Rudy's shut-in mentality, and it inspired me to try and get out more. I went through a lot of things as a child and have an extreme aversion to interacting with anyone outside of my family. Neck and Neko, dude, I appreciate you being here and being vulnerable and sharing that, dude. Genuinely. Straight up, genuinely. I appreciate you saying that. Because it's not easy, dude. It's not easy to take those first steps and try and make interactions with others, dude. And sometimes even making interactions with others can be scary. And it can be the situation where you're like, if I relate to others, at what point do they leave me? Or can I even relate to others at all? So my question for you is, how has that been for you, that journey of stepping out and doing certain things? And for you to, if you guys are going through something similar, how has that been like for yourself as well? Technoblade inspired me to do better in my life by hard work, and I can get. He was a great guy. Technoblade was a phenomenal individual, dude. I think he inspired a lot of people, and I think in terms of impact, he had a big impact in a lot of people's lives. I have been inspired by my mother then. Masha, take, dude. Well then, here's my question for you. Do you want to, for example, do you have younger cousins, siblings, or do you want to have kids in the future? And if so, do you want to set an example for what a good parent can be, or a good older cousin, or a good role model can be in general? You know, going to sleep now, champ. I appreciate you. Have a nice night. Be safe, mate. I appreciate you a lot. Thank you so much for coming, man. I relate to Eris's trouble and social interactions and emotions and more. True. Like, Eris is a good way to relate with others. And my parents have inspired me to be a parent. I mean, hey, if it works, it works. All right. With all that training, she might balk at the idea of serving such an extraordinary older brother. I wonder if my brother... I don't even... I wonder if my brother really is dead. Then I can go straight into the arms of the kiddo master. And she just keeps pushing it. As long as Lord Rudius hasn't passed, you're going to serve him. You understand? Of course, I know that. This was the first time Aisha had ever seen her mother so flustered. But just for a year, okay? And then after that, I want to spend the rest of my time with Kendall Master. No, that is unacceptable. Aisha's fighting! Dude, Aisha really loves fucking with her mom, dude. That's awesome. Aisha continued to enjoy teasing Lilia for a little bit. For me, this is, oh, dude. This is pure. Because for me, this is showing that, like, Aisha's now... It's the moment when you connect with the parent, dude. Like, when you realize, like, hey, I would love to have kids and be a good dad, but that would imply having someone to making kids with and then having them grow in our society. So, meh. That's up to you, man. That's all an individualistic choice, right? Fucking with her mom. No, not like that, Eidolon. Aisha loves trolling her mom. But through this, guys, honestly, in a lot of cultures, especially people that you know, some people that you have a close relationship with, sometimes being able to go down and like poke fun at them is how we build propinquity. It's how we open up and be vulnerable. It's how we open up to even the ideals of, like, you know, dumb situations out there that may have happened or whatnot. Like, this is why I say, even in my family, right, my environment, like, roasting in a way that, like, you know, once we've already built a relationship is a sign of love, is a sign of appreciation, is a sign of, like, oh, like, here you go again, you know, or like whatever, dude. Like, being roasted or being able to go out and be teased is a sign of, like, hey, I don't, yeah, like, my defense mechanism isn't all the way up here, right? I don't have to have a wall with you. It's okay. It's okay to roast and roast back. I know in some cultures it might be a little bit different, right? But in terms of, like, genuinely building this, for me, this is saying Aisha and Lilia are connecting on this level. As a sign of friendship, yeah. When I'm afraid to insult them. For me, this is awesome, dude. Like, it's showing for me, like, the beautiful relationship that this is. I would like to, but I like guys, and I feel like I wouldn't be good enough to adopt. I mean, what makes you say that, dude? You wouldn't be good enough to adopt. But hey, I say lol too much. Bro, that's fine. I use KEKW all the time, or like this type of lol. Way too much. I use that one way too much. But dude, this is beautiful. This is, like, for showcasing the relationship, the beauty of a relationship between mother and daughter, right? And the roles and everything that happened, and for them to connect off of this, dude. This is awesome. This is legit good writing. This is legit good writing, and this is a good way to introduce the way that we form relationships and we form bonds. The woman known as, oh, we're getting a backstory time. All right, hold on. Yeah. The woman known as Lilia was born in a remote village in the Asura kingdom. Later, she was the only girl in a water god style swordplay training hall in a mid-sized city in the Donati region. She had no surname. Commoners in the Asura kingdom were not giving surnames. Lilia was born as just Lilia. And as it was her father who owned the hall, she picked up the blade at a young age and learned rapidly. I wonder if, because clearly she ended up with Paul, right? And by the way, guys, I'm staying up here because I literally am working this, like, I'm not looking down. I'm staying at the paragraph that we're at. I'm assuming that arranged marriages or being forced onto a noble is a very common thing here. Yeah. So I'm wondering if a good escape from being forced into a scenario like this was quite literally like going away, becoming an adventurer, running, going to work somewhere. What would you do? Zeke, Rudo, Mashiro, hey, guys, you're individuality. YouTube person watching this, your individuality is taken away from you. Hey, guess what? I get to pick who you're marrying, and we're gonna marry up high, baby. We're going up to nobility. Yeah, that's right. They're gonna treat you like garbage. They might hit you. They might have multiple mistresses. They might not care about you. They might just see you as a concubine and literally, whether you like it or not, you know, do certain things. how would you feel? Would you be comfortable with that? Or would you feel like running away? Would you feel like, dude, I'm out? I suppose so, yeah. Right? And even as a commoner, dude, that's sort of what I'm wondering. It's like, our environment influences us to be able to survive, to be able to go ahead and like surpass certain expectations and certain things. That's why I'm like, Like her parents, Lilia was terrible with words. She conducted herself coolly and quietly and didn't have much charm to her. Oh, however, she was a hard worker, so those around her all loved her. Even though it was clear she had no talent for the sword, she was still endearing to the other students who saw how eagerly she practiced. The students doted on her as if she were their little sister, and she gained a bunch of older brothers in turn. Her life was the peaceful vista you'd expect from a small rural sword training hall. This is so clearly she was a big influence in her community, in her town. People loved her. That's awesome. The students' gaze began to change when Lilia was about 13. Hey, yo. As her body welcomed the changes that accompanied puberty, the other students stopped showering. Sorry, let me let me read that. Let me read that back. As her body welcomed the changes that accompanied puberty, the other students stopped showering with her and avoiding speaking with her one-on-one. They didn't specifically avoid her or try to exclude her, but Lilia could vaguely sense their hot gazes on her. Yeah, okay. In modern day sense, of course, I would be talking about boundaries and why you shouldn't be even like, you know, at all with anyone else, you know, like why boundaries are important. But back in the day, being realistically, there's even public baths, public onsens, public, you know, stuff out there. So some people have, or like stuff is mixed, right? Where, hey, you know, people would do some stuff, similar stuff like this, you know, but it's also true, like, hey, what was the age of maturity considered in this world? 15 or what? Lilia was a very realistic girl. She had no brothers, and her mother's physical condition had worsened after her birth. With no son to heir to the sword training hall, her mother was left feeling apologetic while her father was cracking his brain over what to do. Oh shit. Oh shit, where was I at? Oh, here we go. What to do. That was why Lilia assumed she'd eventually have to marry one of the students who would inherit the hall in her stead. The students were all like brothers to her, which is why none of them particularly stood out as candidates for marriage. But she could tell they kept each other in check when she was around. This is interesting. Reason being is this. If she spent time with one of them alone, right, over a period of time, even if they have the guy, all right, I guess this is the best way to say it. Hey, if you're in the friend zone, there is a possibility that you can get out, right? I'm sorry, this just comes out of it because they've been brothers zoned, they've been family zoned, right? The way you do that is to build propinquity and i.e. establish like what your roles and understandings are. For example, if I was one of these students, I'd want to, yeah, you'd probably incite war with all the other students, no joke, but I'd want to spend time with her and also be like, hey, you know what? This is how I feel about you, right? And, you know, be there for her, not in the whole simping way, but be there in the ways that you can while also succeeding in your own personal roles and not try to be overindulgent. Cool, I care about you, but I also got my own shit going on and I got stuff to do, right? There are too many people who brother zoned. I know it's a new zone, brother. That's what I'm saying. Like in a scenario like this, I can tell that like a lot of them would probably feel a lot of pressure to like not stand out. And if they did try to make the first move, they'd probably have everyone trying to cheat them out. And it'd probably be pretty bad. It'd probably be pretty bad. It became a hot topic of discussion in the hall as to who the master, her father, would select both as her partner in marriage and the next master of the hall. Behind the scenes, those interested in becoming the master would simply interested in marrying Lilia began to compete with one another. Time wore on without anything being decided, but Lilia was sure that the future she envisioned would eventually come to pass. Oof. Oof. It was around then that Paul tumbled into their midst. Even though he had no money or a place to live, Lilia's father readily welcomed them. I can imagine Paul. Oh God, here comes Paul, guys. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes Paul. Here comes Paul with his cock out. Ladies and gentlemen, big dick in the locker room. Hold on. All right, here we go. With his bright and energetic personality, Paul became popular with everyone in a flash. He was also blessed with the talent for swordsmanship and quickly absorbed their techniques. Likely thanks in part to what he'd already learned with the sword god style, it had taken Lilia 10 years to accomplish as much as he'd caught up to her, then surpassed her in no time at all. He'd grown so skilled that even her father couldn't compete with him. Paul's 12 or 13. Okay. Paul was talented with the sword and popular with the other students. Because of that, it was soon decided that he would be Lilia's life partner. Oh, talk about a self-fulfilling destiny here, dude. Talk about a weird self-fulfilling prophecy destiny type thing here. Although Lilia was bewildered by the suddenness, the speed at which things had processed set her heart aflutter. Oh, so she did have feelings for him. That makes everything even more, dude. That makes things a little sus. I ain't gonna lie. Paul was unlike all the other people she'd seen before. He was so free-spirited. He possessed neither rigid thinking where swordplay was concerned, nor firm beliefs of lineage or an inheritance. His carefree lifestyle seemed dazzling to Lilia. But Paul was a bit too different from the other denizens of the training hall. Oh no. Oh no. What's gonna happen, guys? I just remembered bits of the anime. I pulled up bits of the anime, right? Where she said Paul did. Oh no. Oh no. But Paul was a bit too different from the other denizens of the training hall. And it wasn't just his lax views on swordplay, household duties, or lineage, but also his approach to women. Although the other students had readily welcomed Paul at first, discord began to develop between them. Right, welcome to the National Geographic Channel, where we have Paul versus all the other animals in this training hall. They didn't look too kindly upon someone who had appeared out of nowhere and stolen the seat of hallmaster out from beneath them, but they were willing to begrudgingly accept it because it was Paul. However, if he was going to treat as worthless something that they considered precious, something they fought so hard to try to obtain, then that changed things. Ooh. They decided to try to get rid of Paul during the practice matches. They would focus their attacks on him, come at him from behind with flying kicks, and purposefully spill water on his training outfit. Lilia took on Paul's side and reprimanded them. The students didn't look too kindly upon them, but that either, and the behavior escalated. Here's the thing. As someone that does martial arts, right, and someone that's has been a part of martial arts since I was like 2-3 years old, it's been a generational thing. In scenarios like this, right, like let's say that like you go into a new training environment and whatnot, there are people that are like newbie bashers, dude, that will, like, you know, because you're a new person in there, they're gonna try and test you out. They're gonna, like, especially if you go in there with a good command, they're gonna try and, like, you know, make fun of you in some way, shape, or form. I've been in a similar situation, like, where people, like, Brady and I went to a dojo, right, to go train and stuff like that. And I've gone to, like, various dojos all around. This isn't a story with Brady, but I'm just bringing it up as an example. Just to train, just to do whatever. And I've had situations where people have been able to tell that I was a black belt immediately without me being like, I'm a black belt. I've trained in judo and karate and MMA and Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You know, I don't go around like spreading that like when I go to a new place, right? I'm just chill. I want to learn. I want to pick up because every style has something that you can pick up from, right? But immediately, just from the sparring practices, people picked up, and because I was a little bit better than them, people picked up that I knew a lot of different martial arts statuses. And because there were some people that, like some girls that were really impressed, came in the newbie bashers. They came in ready to show off and do everything and try and go hard from what was supposed to be sparring to like actually hitting hard. And then of course, like, I know how to defend myself, so it's all good. But like, what that does is it actually creates a further distance from them. It creates a bigger distance where now all of a sudden you're the victim, right? So they think like, oh, they're doing this because they got to put you in your place, but all of a sudden they're coming off as bullies, right? They're coming off as individuals that don't really know how to like sustain themselves, that are little kids, that are immature. So Lilia's her imagination about Paul, her propinquity is gonna skyrocket, dude. It's gonna skyrocket into different depths. Oh, Paul is sensitive. People pick on Paul. Paul is so wonderful. He learned so many styles and he's gotten so much better, you know, so on and so forth. Like there's already like this skyrocketing image of Paul that's going up. Similar to the way that Aisha's image of Rudy is starting to skyrocket. The Kennel Master, he can do like, you know, magic that doesn't need words, you know, starting to go up. That's interesting. It's kind of poetic in a way, the way that like it's like a fulfilling cycle, I guess, right? Or it's like a cycle in that. I would ask them for pointers if they were better. Yes, absolutely, Rudo. Ed puts on a silver wig, becomes Orsted. One day. Okay. Anyway. Have you guys ever been bullied like that? Not bullied, but like picked on like that, I guess? I'm genuinely curious. Have you guys ever been picked on? Gone into an environment, D&D club, dodgeball, improv, theater, music, whatever, and felt like you were out of place or felt like people were judging you? And how'd you react to that, dude? Yeah, it sucks, dude. I'm seemingly immune to bullying. I don't notice it, so they give up. Like 5 years later, I'm like, oh, Eidolon. I haven't. I believe I was the first person. I was the person who would reach out first. It wasn't anything bad though. It didn't go anywhere. That's good. I'm good. It didn't go anywhere. If Paul were a normal boy, it would have ended there. He would have acquiesced and made way for the others. Or he would have fled through the call after being chased out. However, Paul was a bad boy. Let me repeat that again. Paul was a bad boy. Ooh. Paul was un niño travieso. Hey, yo, Paul was travieso. With his mood soured, he resorted to acting out. Paul was, yeah, naughty boy. Paul was moody. He resorted to acting out. One night, he snuck into Lilia's sleeping chambers and stole her innocence. Lilia tried to struggle, of course, but there was nothing she could do. Once everything was over, she was left in a daze. She couldn't process what it was that happened to her. She never dreamed that Paul, who she's spoken so cheerfully about a few days prior, would do something like that. By the time her mother came into the room to see why her daughter hadn't gotten up, she screamed at what she saw. And Paul had already left town. Bruh. Paul moment. Paul moment, bro. Dude, that's... And he fucking dipped, dude. I was just vibing playing some games and I hear that. You love to see it. Guys, okay. Just off of this information alone. That sucks, dude. That really sucks. And for me, it's like... I'm trying to reason why Paul would do something like that. Because, like, I'm not trying to go ahead and, like, dig into Paul just yet. We're going to talk about it a little bit. But let's... In a nature, if you were to put yourself in Paul's shoes, why would Paul do something like this? That's what I'm trying to get at as, like, a therapist looking in. If I was talking to Paul, I'd ask him, right? Which is, like... Why would you do something like this, right? What does this mean to you? I feel like Paul, right, because he can clearly see the competition. It's fucked up what he did. It doesn't excuse it in any way, shape, or form. But I feel like he did it in order for Lilia to be free in a way, right? Because I feel like they value innocence in this, maybe. And if you want to get married, you probably have to have an innocence, or you're innocent or something. Yeah? Is that what it is? His actions are unjustifiable, but for me, the way that I'm thinking about it is he's probably thinking, if innocence is a big thing, right? It's probably like, aside from getting his needs met in whatever way, shape, or form, it's probably like, oh, if this is the case, right? If I do this, others, it might be too late for others, so on and so forth. It's unjustifiable, though. It's not justifiable. It's really fucking scummy, if we're going to be real with it. But also, here's another thing. Guys, sexual trauma comes from this. I'm sorry, but SA, you guys can look up what that is in Google. I can't really say it because of YouTube. SA, yeah, that would be giving good intent. Exactly, Masha Tank. That would be giving good intent. And that's why I'm not saying it's justifiable at all. I'm saying that this is unjustifiable in every sense of the word. But SA, trauma, unfiltered trauma. You know what that happens? That can, if unchecked. Okay, here's a list of what can come from. Number one, disgust in men. Disgust in your own body can cause body dysmorphia, self-esteem issues, issues in normal sexualization of self and others. Yeah. It can cause like you to like look at yourself and feel dirty. You know? It can cause you to like feel unwanted and feel as though, you know, something that you even treasured yourself, right? In some way, shape, or form. For example, a lot of people treasure their childlike innocence or their childhood, or even some cultures treasure their virginity, right? Or their innocence. And if everyone, like the other students might be treasuring Lilia's innocence or virginity through that, we're not going to go and throw that out there, you know. And Paul might just be fucking petty and just be like, I fucking took it, man. Oh, this is mine, dude. You know, something like that. Like, I can totally see Paul doing something at that young age. I don't think he's able to go and reason some stuff out philosophically. I can see him doing something out of pettiness. But I will state this out there, man. Like, in a situation like this, if left unchecked, and especially in an environment where, let's say, they kick Lilia out for whatever reason, and Lilia goes to Paul, trauma bonding and sexual abuse bonding can happen. I'll do anything for you. Masters, you did what you did, man. You did what you did. But I'll be your maid. I'll clean for you. You guys know why? Do you guys know why? You guys know why I'm saying, like, oh, this is bad? Let's go back into our whole thing of power and control. So what happened in here, right? First off, it doesn't have to be male privilege. It can just be privilege in general. Treating them like a servant. Acting like the master of a castle. Yeah. In emotional abuse, it's also sexual abuse in a lot of these issues, right? Oh, I said it. Oh, well. Oops. Unmonetized. All right. Using emotional abuse. Using coercion and threats. Even through this, sexual abuse is a big one that comes through it, which is why it says physical violence and sexual abuse. Guys. This is... Fuck, dude. This is rough. This is rough. And granted, you yourself can go ahead and, like, put on the role of a servant or whatnot. Granted, she does get married, you know, so on and so forth, but fuck, I'm looking at this and I'm like, imagine what that happened. You're probably going to start isolating yourself if you had any sexual interest in men. And then what happens when you encounter that person that did that, right? Are you healthy enough? Are you healthy enough to even be able to talk about it? Oof. This chapter is taking us through a ride. Oh, well, here it is. Lilia developed a distrust for men after that. She felt fear, yeah, at the gazes of other students and blatantly avoided bodily contact. What I say, guys, self-esteem, quite literally, like, disgust, fear, This comes from trauma, dude. This is straight up trauma. That didn't change, not even after she turned 15 and became an adult. Lilia's father was honor bound to see the survival of the Sword Hall, which had been the family for generations. He had no son, and Lilia's birth had ruined her mother's body. He would have to marry her to one of his students to see his legacy continue. Still, a father was a father. As a parent, he couldn't force his daughter to be with the man after the deep scars she'd sustained. If only there was a therapist during this time, man, because what you should be, it's good. And just like that, how many lives are true? But my thing is, as a parent, this is advice for everyone out there: be there for your kids. It's good that she didn't force her, but at the same time, like, to do anything, be there for your kids. Talk about it, dude. Trauma is not something to laugh at. Trauma is like, it's a lifelong thing, dude. It's a lifelong thing, and I can't even imagine the amount of like nightmares she must have had of this, the ups and downs. Like, if we imagine this, us, like, you know, individuals that haven't experienced something like this, right, that still have depression or anxiety and like issues, right, regular issues that make us go up and down. Now imagine that with trauma added. I'm like, fuck, dude. Legitimately, like, in the bottom of my stomach, I'm like, this would hurt. This would absolutely hurt. Wow. Instead, he used his personal connections to recommend her to the Asura royal family as a maid and lady-in-waiting whose duties extend to taking up arms to protect the royal family when necessary. Lilia gradually overcame her distrust of men during her time serving as a guardswoman, but then sustained an injury while protecting the princess. Discharged from service, she headed to the Fatoa region instead of returning home, where by some twist of fate, she found a job as a maid to Paul's new family. She and Paul rekindled their affair. She got pregnant. You guys ever wonder why people go back to their, like, you know, why people sometimes go back to their abuser in domestic violence situations? In situations like that? Who have you genuinely connected with, right? And what did they cause, right? Did they make your heart flutter at first? To move on, to try and form any connection or whatnot? My thing is, there's a whole thing that we can go on in this paragraph alone. We can go on about like what it means to sustain something like this, to be in an environment like this. So, is it comfort? In some aspects, it can be comfort. Comfort from what you knew, or the man that you think you knew, right? It can be Stockholm. With Stockholm, he'd have to be in that environment. He'd literally have to be with her for majority of the time, which is why I'm even saying like Ram's thing isn't Stockholm as well. Ram is just someone that has a lot of other issues that we might get into another time. But when it comes to like her specifically, I think that this might come from a specific moment of, you know, unaddressed sexual trauma. Unaddressed trauma in general. You go to people, often people fall in cycles of routines, and especially like environments that, like, without being treated properly, it might be to try and get closure. It might be to, like, that's the only job that she could find. It might be 101 other aspects. But my thing is, being in this environment, there's going to be jealousy that arises. There's still going to be those feelings that are left there. Taught them the situation they were in was the only place that was correct. Trauma teaches you that you are not complete somehow, so going back to the abuser fills that hole somehow. Yeah. Trauma is rough. Trauma is a big topic, and which is why in general, like, there's a whole field for like trauma therapy and trauma psychology. Because we often try and, like, for example, it influences the way that you see love. Or, for example, if the only way that you've been loved is in that perspective, and that was the abuse that you got out of that, and you normalize it, and that's yours, and that was your first time or whatever, it might cause feelings of distrust, of anger, of guilt, of remorse, of being there. Yeah, when Lilia tells Rudius about this in Volume 1, she expands more on it. Would recommend. We're going to get to that Gunmaker at some point. You know, we're reading the extra chapters outside of this, you know, first, and then we're going to start into, like, the Volume 1 and probably work through the chapters or something. I find myself subconsciously liking being in toxic relationships. Cisco, I wonder, what is it about toxic relationships that drives you to them? Is it the thrill? Is it the fact that, like, the unexpectedness, or like, you know, is shaking when you see a certain... It can be touch me domo. If there was an incident that happened with someone and, like, instinctually you're shaking, then your body has gone through a traumatic experience. Trauma is stored in the body, yeah? And I think that's a big thing a lot of people don't take into consideration, which is why, for example, I guess I'm going to go ahead and out some people. If you ever, like, you know, having relations with people, or, you know, even talking with people, you can see it physically, like scrunch up, and whatnot. People that have been, you know, SA'd in the past and say that they're with a new partner and they haven't completely worked out their issues, they might cry during intercourse. They might full on break down crying. Because in aspects, again, trauma is stored in the body. Yeah, maybe I like change and I don't want to be committed. So maybe you yourself are putting yourself in an environment where you like that toxicity as a way out for yourself, where you know that that relationship's not a relationship that's going to last a long time. So you use the toxicity as a, like, you know, keeping one foot in, keeping one foot out, while at the same time being able to go ahead and, like, enjoy yourself in that. Is that... Am I reading that right? Or errors? But yeah, dude. Whew. Anyway, in all honesty, Lilia didn't know at the time if she was happy or not. She was basically a mistress, and Paul probably loved Zenith more than he did her. That would hurt. That would hurt. Zenith was a dear friend to her, but Lilia had complex feelings of guilt and remorse. The Grey Rats had accepted her as part of the family, but her anxiety and insecurity persisted. Well, yeah, okay. Let's be realistic, yeah. In an environment like this, how would you guys feel? YouTube comments as well. We're not even gonna say SA. We're just gonna say a partner that you were with, right? Your first love per se. You met with them later, and you're now working with them in their household, and you know, that was the only partner that you've had, the only feelings that you've had. And now that you're working there, they have a partner, they have a wife, they have whatever, right? You don't think there'd be some comparisons happening? Oh, I feel so insecure. Does he love her more than he loves me? Or than he loved me? Oh, does he love her the same? Oh, you know, comparisons and aspects like that. I'd be terrible. I'd be pissed. There'd be insecurities. There'd be anxieties popping up. Hearing them make love. Can you imagine that? Lack of counseling and therapy. Absolutely. Inferiority complexes. And not just that, dude, but also, like, imagine hearing them make love, dude. And there's nothing you can do about it. Very awkward situations to be in. Yeah. Oof. If that was a situation, he wasn't the only partner Lilia had. The Royal Castle. I'm sure the Pollo, like, I'm sure that there was more, but that was still her first love, if you're going to put it in that perspective. And that was still, like, the first traumatic moment, right, of, like, what a partner was. But still, imagine doing that, dude. For the Pollo Smash. The Pollo Smash. Imagine being in an environment like that, right, where you're with your previous partner's household, right? And they're with their partner, and you're hearing them constantly make love, or constantly, like, fooling around, and being in a power under situation. I'd be happy they're happy, though. Yeah? Yeah? I wonder if Lilia and Zenith got closer since the polling event. I wonder, because that's also pretty rough for both of them. But anyway. Rudius, who supported her in this time of mental turmoil, had been the one who talked to Zenith into letting Lilia stay. Raising her daughter someday to serve him was the one thing Lilia could be certain she wanted. She found herself questioning what this said about how much she loved Aisha. Bruh. Her own father had cared more for her happiness with the continuation of his sword haul, which was why he'd help her find another path in life. Was Lilia not trampling over the feelings of Aisha, her own daughter, if she used her to repay her debt to Rudius and buy herself some peace of mind? Absolutely. I'm sorry. A parent's mistakes are a parent's mistakes, not the children's mistakes. This might be a generational trauma situation where you're using, you know, your kids as a way to extend your trauma. to extend the way to repay, to extend the feelings of guilt and expectation and so on and so forth. It's not a bad thing. It happens, but I'm just being straight up, like, you know, for example, a lot of parents project their expectations onto their kids and even use them as a way to go ahead and live out the life that they couldn't live out, which is a little rough, or pay off things that they couldn't pay off. Those worries only worsened as she realized that her daughter was not an ordinary child, but exceptionally intelligent, which fuck yeah she is, dude. Fuck yeah she is. Okay. The turning point. They said it, guys. They said it. The turning point. Let's go. Came with the mysterious displacement incident, in which Lilia and Aisha was teleported to the Sharona kingdom together. One moment they'd lost consciousness, and the next they were in an expensive-looking room. Soon enough, they were completely surrounded by guards. Faced with hostile, murderous men in armor, I almost read that in Spanish, en amor. Lilia's mind went blank. Unable to comprehend what was happening, the one thought that came to her mind was, I have to protect my daughter. Lilia grabbed the nearest candle stand and pushed her daughter behind her and fought. However, after her long absence from battle, or from actual battle, her body didn't move as she willed it, and the old wound in her leg only further hampered her mobility. Unable to offer much resistance, they were captured, and Aisha was dragged along by the soldiers behind her mother. It's just like the anime, for real, for real. Okay, this displacement incident. Guys, this is another traumatic event for everyone. Being displaced from one moment to another, instant fucking trauma, dude. How would you sleep peacefully at night without wondering if you're gonna, if you're not gonna awake at a different place? How would you feel about that, dude? One moment to another, light came through, boom, you're in a different area. Would you feel comfortable? Do you feel like you'd have nightmares? Do you feel like you'd be super duper anxious? Like, let's say that you were teleported to still another safe place, but just like that, boom, you can no longer go out, so on and so forth. It would be high levels of anxiety, high levels of stress, high levels of everything, dude. This is another big, please, just spare the girl. Please, just help my daughter. I don't care what happens to me. Just my daughter. Lilia wept and screamed pitifully. But those words came unbidden and unconsciously. They were her true feelings. Her true feelings. Ooh, all this time she's been wondering how she, like, you know, because she was sort of like using her daughter to go and, like, you know, use her as a way to, like, resolve the guilt that she's been having, and using her to serve, you know, Rudius whenever he came back or whatever, and questioning how she felt about her daughter until this moment. That mask falls off. You're no longer a maid, you're a mom. You're no longer a maid the moment the displacement incident happened. You're a mom and you're trying to protect your daughter at all costs. What does that say? Ooh. After that, Lilia was confined to the castle, kept from making any contact with the outside world, and forced to work as a maid. However, her heart was lighter than before. The words that spilled from her in a moment of desperation were pleas to save Aisha. She no longer doubted her love for her daughter and was satisfied that her desire to have her serve Rudius was not purely a selfish one. I mean, if that satisfies, you know, your own personal line of thinking, I guess. But, like, from an outside perspective looking in, I'd question that a little bit, you know? Kind of cute, though. I'd be satisfied. Not a purely selfish. I know she said not a purely, but, like, I would question this if, like, if I had Lilia in front of me, I'd be like, okay, so how would you feel, like, how do you feel about your father's, yeah, a request to try and make you do this or do that, you know, and try and go and, like, reference that. I want you to serve Rudius, not because I want you to, but because I want you to. Aisha was free-spirited and independent, perhaps because she took after Paul. She hated being restrained and found her mother suffocating, which, yeah, overprotective parent with big expectations. If you've ever had one, I'll be honest, yeah, you find parents like that suffocating. She couldn't comprehend why would serve Rudius, and being so clever, Aisha detested working hard toward a goal she couldn't understand the meaning of. So Lilia didn't give up. She taught her recalcitrant. Oh, that's a new word. Hold on, I gotta highlight that. That's a new word for me. Recalcitrant daughter all the knowledge she'd collected over the years. One day, Aisha would understand. As long as Rudius remained the same person he had been on the day when he protected Lilia, Aisha would understand. Or so she thought. Do you think Aisha developed a keen awareness of other people's emotions and how they felt because she in her childhood, she saw in her childhood others? Probably, yeah. I feel in a way when you're in a position under, right? I hate to put it this way, it's a survival mechanism. How do you guys know when your mom's angry? Or when your parents are angry? Or your caregiver's angry? Oh, give me a second. I'm gonna cough this out and sneeze this out. I'm not my. When they use my full name, you feel it like any. When she doesn't talk at all, phrasing, body language. Okay. Now imagine being in a position under. You're not just a maid, right? You're the daughter of a maid who's supposed to serve the son of the household. You're no longer just supposed to be afraid or like supposed to know what your mom is feeling or thinking. Yeah? You're supposed to be aware of how everyone in the family is thinking. And I'm not just talking about this like, oh, it's not some, you know, like Lydia didn't teach her this, so on and so forth. No, but there's already a role that was set on her from the very beginning. I want you to serve Rudius. You're gonna serve Rudius. In a fight or flight situation, oftentimes the introverted individuals or individuals that have been given a big expectation or roles to fill or so on and so forth often are intelligent in the way that they have to maneuver in order to stay afloat. Yeah. In the way that they have to skid through. Imagine this being a full-on environment, right? Where, say, you have to be aware, like, you know, I'm going to put myself on here. If I was in, like, let's say that I was in, like, we're in a household together. Everyone, even YouTube, right? And I was the maid of a maid of a maid. Guess what? Now or a maid of a maid. And now I have to be aware of how the rest of the maids are feeling and how the rest of the people that they serve are feeling as well. Because I have to know how to navigate this field. I have to know how to go ahead and, like, you know, not get in trouble with the maid that's taking care of me, but the staff that's taking care of the maid. Because if the staff get angry at the maid, guess what? In turn, the maid's probably going to take it out on me. So now I have to know how to navigate the situation. Now it's a fight or flight situation where my environment in of itself, granted, I know Paul probably wouldn't do something like that, but you're still talking about, like, feelings of unwantedness or feelings of, like, issues or, you know, uneasiness or even the expectations in there. So you have to learn how to, like, adapt. And I think that resiliency and adaptability in this is why Aisha really grew her emotional intelligence. It's like the story I heard once of someone being the intern of an intern. Yeah? Dude, that's why I'm like, I feel like Aisha developed this as a coping mechanism, as a survival instinct, dude. And it's awesome, but at the same time, it's like, hey, it might run through the family. I mean, Rudius is super smart. All right. Or so she thought. And, Big Brother Kennel Master, he's all I can think about. Those sturdy arms that lifted me up with this gallant face and confused attitude. Aisha did understand. She'd seen Rudius for herself and understood the meaning behind what Lilia has been doing. But this was also wrong. This wasn't the way she'd envisioned her daughter coming to understand Rudius's greatness. Eidolon. So basically, we should have put ourselves under intense and varied stress as a child so we would develop awesome gamer skills. No, Eidolon, no. I mean, there's healthy ways of developing that, like, you know, skills like that, but, like, this is just a survival one, or have lifelong trauma. Yeah, yeah. Aisha, Lily gradually stood up in the middle of the swing carriage. Aisha, who had a mischievous smile on her face. Oh, dude, why am I smiling so much, dude? Aisha's such an awesome character, trembled with surprise at her mother's movement. Lilia had a habit of smacking Aisha on the head when she said or did something bad. Gran said Aisha was clever. She could estimate to a certain degree what would get her hit and what wouldn't, and she was mischievous enough to bait Lilia into hitting her. Then she'd stick out her tongue and resolve it with a sorry. But this time, she didn't know why her mother was angry. She was complimenting Rudius, complimenting the older brother her mother told her to serve. Had she messed up somehow? Or was the kennel master not her brother at all? Those worries flashed through her mind as her mother's hand approached her. Huh? Aisha froze as she felt something soft brush the top of her head. Lilia was patting her. Times like this, when her mother stroked her hair, were far and few between. Oh, dude. Dude. Mother, for some reason, Lilia felt timid when her daughter addressed her. Her hand, which had been stroking Aisha's head, now moved towards the little girl's back, drawing her small body close. Aisha, Mr. Kennel Master, or Master Rudius, whoever you choose is fine with me. It's the same person. This is really cute and sentimental, but it's also the same person. Dude, this is cute, but it's also, oh, that's also, oh. Rudius had refused to take Aisha with him. But Lilia was certain that a few years from now, the day would come where they would be reunited again. And when that day comes, give everything you have to serve him. As Lilia said those words, she swore to herself that she would raise Aisha to be a wonderful woman, and that it wouldn't be for Rudius' sake or for her own. There we go, dude. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. That's some good shit, Lilia. That's a good parenting right there. Lilia was aware that her own egotistical feelings were still mixed into that sentiment, but she truly, from the bottom of her heart, wanted Aisha to grow into a remarkable woman. I guess you caught me after all, huh? Aisha felt uneasy about the soft sensation on her head, and her lips curled upwards. I knew, of course, that Kennel Master is my brother, so I just kind of wanted to try teasing you a little bit. Oh, dude. Aisha checkmate on the mind games. As she stammered her incoherent excuse, it suddenly occurred to Aisha that she might never have been embraced like this by her mother before. As soon as she thought that, an incredible wave of happiness swept over her. It was the first time the young girl had experienced crying with joy. Confused by the tears that refused to stop, she just wrapped her arms around her mother and so, because that's the first time your mom is showing love as a mom and not as a maid. You know, like, she's no longer trying to go and force you. That's all, dude. This is deep. Like, she cared about you as a mom, but it's like she also had the maid and guilt intentions and all of that, like what she was working through. And this is pure. This is pure. This is awesome. Ginger, who had been watching the two, averted her eyes. Her gaze turned into water patties as they rippled in the wind, expanding as far as the eye could see. Ginger just watching this go down is just fucking crying out there. Aww. Ginger just watching this go down. Oh man, when was the last time that you guys have hugged or had, like, you know, and I know I've run from this before, but like, guys, hug your parents if you guys like them, or hug a sibling, or hug someone you care about, dude. We're in this world for a very short period of time, and like, for me, an embrace that I will never forget. And yes, I am getting sentimental and stuff, because for me, it still impacts me thinking back on it. When I went to go study, the first, you know, I went abroad and whatnot, and, you know, with very little money, with very little knowledge of, like, the language I had to go learn. No idea of the fucking language, to be honest with you. I was like, oh, it's the Netherlands, whatever. When my parents hugged me goodbye, dude, and the first time I got to see my dad be vulnerable like that, dude, fucking cry, like, and give me a hug and tell me, dude, like, I love you, and I want you to succeed, go out there and learn and grow and be better. Oh, dude, that was like right now I'm tearing up, dude. Like that shit's like oof, oof. He's a hard man, dude. He's a really like oh, hold on, dude. Like he's a hard dude that's like worked his entire life and like has taught us to be better. But the moment that like I got to see the side of him where he completely was like not just like the example of who I want them to be, or like the example as to like who I should try and model or whatever, yeah. Uh, but when he was legit, like you could see like the scared, the anxiety, the love, all of that stuff there in that hug, dude, with my parents the last time before I had to dip. And I'm like, yeah, I'm getting all snotty and shit, dude. Like it was something, man. Like sorry, dude, this fucking chapter is bringing out feelings on me, dude. Because I'm like putting myself in Aisha's like shoes in that, dude. It's like feeling that for the first time or feeling that like whatever, dude. It's yeah, I remember boarding and everything, and I still had tears in my eyes. That was fucking boarding the plane. I'm like, I'm going to a country whose language I don't even fucking speak, dude. I just did this because it was an amazing opportunity to study abroad, to learn like a whole new thing, and I'm leaving everything behind. I'm literally going through a displacement issue myself, And that was, for me, that was a big moment, dude. Fuck. What is this novel, dude? Oh God. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Dude, that's why, like, when I was reading that, dude, it hits hard, dude, because if you guys ever, and that's what I'm saying, like, hey, if you ever have an opportunity to, or if when you can, care about the people you love, dude, because I'll share this. My father got sick a couple months ago, and really bad, really, really bad. I thought I was gonna lose him, and he essentially went to the doctor, and they told him like a little clinic and whatnot, and they told him immediately, hey, you need to get to a hospital. Right, I was at work, and they're like, you need to get to a hospital, man, because your heart, you're on the verge of a heart attack, your heart's enlarged, this is really, really bad. And they're like, we're calling an ambulance to come and pick you up. And him being the stubborn man that he is, you know what he did? Irresponsible, yes. He drove himself all the way to the hospital because he was scared of the bill, dude. He was scared of like, the bill that would come from that, dude. And he's like, I'm driving myself there. And my mom was freaking out. She's like, let me drive. And he's like, no. And he didn't want us to be told. He didn't want me to know, or my brother to know, or my brothers to know, or anything like that. Because he's like, I don't want them to be scared. I don't want them to come here. I don't want them to like, to do like, to freak out or whatever. But of course, we knew him when we took off, dude. Seeing him like that, like in the bed and whatnot, and hearing, for example, the diagnosis, which is, essentially, his heart will remain enlarged, and it's, sort of like a heart failure type thing. He's fine right now, but in future, problems may arise again. I've never felt fear like that, dude. And seeing him asleep and stuff like that, and even just hugging him and being like, dude, I love you, dude, like, I love you, dad, like, legit. That reminded me of when I was like, when I got that hug at the thing, and just reading this, I'm like, fuck, that takes me through a lot of emotions like that, dude. What a novel. Holy crap, dude. What a chapter. What a way to like get through it. And guys, please love who you can love. Be open, be honest, be open to it. Be kind to others. Treat others with respect, and honestly reach out to those that you haven't reached out to, dude. We're all going through this life and we're all experiencing it differently. We all need some share of love. Be nice, be open to others, be accepting of others, and let me know, honestly, what did you guys think of this chapter? Did this chapter impact you the way that it's impacting me right now? Cause fuck, dude, I'm still like all snotty and shit. Did this chapter, like, Mushoku Tensei, any other chapters in here, make you cry, make you impact you in a way, shape, or form, dude? Because for me, this was beautiful writing, man. It's been 2 for 2 so far. It's been 2 for 2. Dude, you haven't even read a volume, just a chapter. I might send my grandma a message after this. Dude, check in, dude. You have to remember, as older people, they get lonely. They get really, really lonely, dude. And, check in with those olders. All right, let me check in. Hold on, guys. Also, YouTube, hey, let me know what you guys thought as well. Yeah, sorry for that, like, ending tangent there, but honestly, this is amazing. This has a lot of awesome places to go ahead and, like, talk about and all of that stuff. I'm still emotional. What the fuck is this, dude? What the fuck is this? What have you guys done to me? What have you done? Oh, man. Mm. Sorry. All right. The light novels ruined the light novels for me. All right. Ed, which ReZero Mushoku Tensei? Well, so I haven't read the novel for ReZero. So far in ReZero, it's pretty impactful. Like season 2, episode 4 of ReZero was really impactful. But these chapters, man, holy crap, dude. Holy crap. Mushoku Tensei does both the disgusting writing to this beautiful moments. Yeah, dude. But I think you need to have moments of like roughness to appreciate the moments of like lightness, right? That brings it up. And I think that's sort of what a phenomenal author can go ahead and do. But this is, oof, oof, holy crap! I don't even know how long we did this one for. But guys, I sincerely hope you guys liked it. Leave a comment; it helps us out, dude. If you guys like what we talked about, what we went over, yeah, let me know. Hit that like button. Yeah, holy crap, dude. One of my most painful memories in my life is seeing my grandpa break down at my great grandfather's funerals. Yeah, in a bit. Hold on. Yeah, hold on. I need a fucking moment, dude. I need a moment. We did that for like an hour 40, an hour 50, something like that, I think. Holy but Jesus, guys. When you guys said Mushoku Tensei, I thought it was to be like a cute version or something that was gonna like get me to be like, oh, this is this aspect, not to fucking hit me in the heart and make me cry and make me tear up, dude. What the fuck did you guys do? Gotta have a little darkness to appreciate the light. I appreciate you, Monsieur. So have a great night. Be safe, man. Woo! Woo! Later, skater. Man, what a fucking chapter, man. So when we starting that Mushoku Tensei book club? Are there any other special chapters, guys? Genuine question, because that was good. That was beyond good. Or is that like the last one that I can get before Mushoku Mondays? There are more. Okay. I mean, we can do Eris's POV. There are more. We have special chapters every volume. There are. An uncle close to me processed due to liver issues in 2020. I didn't feel anything then. Next year, I went near his house, thing water. Yeah, dude, it's cool. Honestly, we all process grief differently, and I think that's, yeah, it's awesome that you do realize that. We have Ghislaine one. Okay, how about next, either on Sunday or next week, we do Eris's Eris's chapter or whatever. Yeah, Eris's POV. What you guys, are you guys down for that? Also, I guess I should probably leave this in for the YouTube audience. I guess I'll go out and say, hey YouTube, quick little PSA after that. Yes, I'm finally kind of stopped crying a little bit. Hey, we're doing this like every stream, every so often. So if you guys are enjoying this, come on by, join us over here on Twitch. We tend to do this every Friday and Sunday. Those are like the official days. There are going to be more days that we do like Twitch streams, but aside from that, we do this live, we talk about it, we analyze it. You guys get to pick the chapters that we read, because right now we're doing special chapters. After this one, I believe it's Eris's POV, and then whatever other special chapters there might be, or extra chapters that are out there, before we actually go through like volume by volume or chapter by chapter. This is, I never thought I'd be engrossed, just completely down for Moshiko Tensei, but dude, it is enthralling. I am all in for it. This is like, whoa, but also, hey, if you're liking this, do let me know. Hit that like button. Tell me something in the comments, dude, because honestly, it means the world to me, to go ahead and get this out there and get people that are interested in talking about mental health concepts in here, you know.